Miami. What do you guys want to do about this? So the general excused himself. He contacted Offutt Air Force Base, Nebraska. He contacted the Secretary of the Air Force, the Secretary of Defense, and it came down from the highest echelons of the government to delay publication. That's where this story died in 1967. Now, if we only had Jack Pickett's account, there wouldn't be much of a story here because that's just one eyewitness report. And here is a good shot of it flying over Edwards Air Force Base. I was successful enough to track down an individual. Here's the shot of the 4 exhaust ports, and incidentally it had a bomb bay in the lower section of the craft. Successful enough to track down this gentleman right here. His name is Warren Botts. He's a retired Air Force pilot, has over 30,000 hours as an Air Force pilot, flying everything from the P-40 all the way up to the F-104. I found him to be a very credible individual. A hero, an American hero, absolutely. He was at an Air Force reunion of the Flying Tigers back in 1966. And as they were going through the hangars, the Air Force Museum is over here. Here is hangar number 4, Bay E. It has 5 bays. That's A, B, C, D, and E. Roosevelt's DC-6 was right in here. And via a connecting doorway, Warren Botts walked into this last hangar, which is hangar E of building number 4 here, and parked nose first into the hangar. Was the exact same aircraft that Jack Pickett had saw at the base scrapyard at MacDill 1 year later in 1967. So we had independent confirmation from a reliable secondary source that in point of fact there was a U.S. Air Force jet flying wing disc program. There absolutely was such a program. So I'm convinced that a number of these programs can be declassified and they can represent no threat to the national security whatsoever. The propulsion systems that are involved with these programs can definitely help to repair the environment. They can improve the lives of everyone here in the United States and improve the lives of everyone around the world, and I want to thank you for your attention.
How did you begin to stumble upon and learn of these black projects, these Air Force black projects? I mean, everybody knows about black budgets, but what propelled you into that, the sophisticated study and analysis that you've made of it?
I've had an interest in exotic aircraft my entire life. There was a 1994 Popular Science article that talked about secret airbase, and that was directly related to the remote test site in Nevada, also known as Area 51. They had some illustrations in there that were very inspiring, and that's what led me to my further research on black aircraft programs. And since that time, I've been basically full-time tracking down these things, and that's been the thrust of my research.
Were there any other individuals that influenced your vision of what was going on, and how did they play a role in formulating your overall world view of what's happening here?
Mark McCandlish is someone that I think should be mentioned here. He is a absolutely incredible forensic composite aerospace illustrator. He has worked for Lockheed, Northrop, Boeing, General Dynamics, Northrop, major aerospace corporations, has held a top secret security clearance. And whenever one of these aerospace prime corporations needed a new illustration for a new proposal, they would come to Mark to do the illustration. And so that's how Mark got these first-hand accounts of these exotic aircraft. I was able to develop a friendship with Mark, and from that point forward, we've been trading information and illustrations from that point.
Now, in investigating these, have you ever made direct contact with any of these aerospace corporations through the public information offices in those particular corporations? And have they ever responded back to you?
I have never gone through any kind of public information officer because I think they're not going to say anything anyway. I really maintain a more direct approach by sending a briefing document first or a phone call and then follow up with a personal interview. I find that's a better approach.
And has that worked on a number of occasions?
It has worked, yes. For a former Lockheed Skunk Works engineers have opened up to me and given me first-hand conceptual sketches that have never been seen before.
Now, you began to take a series of UFO photographs.